August 13, 2024, it's Tuesday. We are running today. So normally I run long runs on Saturday, but I gonna do it today instead of Saturday. And I'm gonna follow Tommy Reeves running. There is like 4 runs I have left from his workout program. Yeah, I just gonna put it as a distraction, but I'm gonna follow my own pace because I'm gonna try to do like I did my last long run at a very low heart rate. So if I'm gonna have to walk sometime, I'm gonna walk sometime, just as long as I keep my heart rate low. And that's about it. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to run as much as I need to, so it's 9:50 in the morning, 9:52 to be exact. This run is half an hour, but I have to adjust my camera. This run only half an hour, but I'm gonna put after this one another one, and so it's really irrelevant. Okay, this is an indoor run. Indoor. Start.
Welcome back, guys. I'm your Shannon Tommy Griff. This is workout number 14. This is second workout, week number 3, recovery run after the long run that we had, a killer workout up in Mount Bahama. So today, guys, nice and easy. We're just going to cruise along the road that goes through Bahama National Park all the way to the thermal waters, the hot springs, the agua thermale. So, throughout the entire run, no more than light intensity. So keep that heart rate right around 75%.
3.3 right now, just to warm up.
That threshold RPE, or rate of perceived exertion, no more 4 out of 10. Another beautiful day here in Bahama National Park. We're down a little bit lower than we were yesterday. We were up actually on Mount Bahama. Remember, guys, we got up to right around 16,000 feet up there. A little bit chilly this morning. We're down at around 14,000 feet of elevation. A little bit higher than that. We're going to cruise along all the way to this beautiful natural hot springs. Let's settle in, focus in on what we got going on today. Just relax. Alright. So nothing crazy, guys. Just literally going through the motions. People say that like it's a bad thing, but when it comes, it has to do. Endurance athletics, sometimes you just gotta go out, put in the time, push your body, get the work in, and you do it with as much ease as possible. Physically, mentally, emotionally, cruise along, enjoy the time you have, and the opportunity you have to move.
I don't wanna see my speed. I don't wanna see. I just wanna as it goes.
We've got Tirana Costa, that mountain there, volcano. There's 2 peaks on the Chilean side of the park. Off to the left or to the east
I'll find out after what's my average pace was.
Shake out those arms. Shake out those legs. Whatever you need to do. Just feel body relax. Moving efficiently. Go through. Big shoulders, toes, make sure everything moving freely, gently. Relax your face. Relax your traps. Relax your shoulders. Nice and even. Your elbow, hand. You want to make sure it's gently closed. Nothing pressed too tight. Breathe into our diaphragm. Belly comes out. Our diaphragm stretches. We got our feet gently landing. The lower center of gravity. Light, quick, efficient turnover on our feet. Moving forward. Alright, guys.
Have to say one thing.
Now we go through
I didn't eat before.
active, mobility,
I wanted to train myself to be able
legs,
to run a long distances
stretch out. So this right here,
at the low heart rate
so while you're running, you alternate legs,
without eating
bring
before.
your heel.
Don't feel comfortable eating before.
Typically I'll just do a couple of these,
Just too heavy.
take out between intervals. Sometimes
We all
what
different.
you can actually do, 20 or 30 on each side. Alright, take a minute, I'm just gonna skip. Believe it or not, this is my other favorite warm-up. You gotta be careful, don't fall down on your face while you're doing this. But, as you skip, you shake out your quads. It take a little bit of time to get used to. Feels nice though. The squats are a little bit sore. So you bring your heel up to your bum, you're lengthening that quad. And then when you skip, you're shaking them out. You're just shaking all that. So that combination back and forth, that's typically what I do while I'm warming up before a race, or if I'm trying to get my body to loosen up. Between intervals, I'll go back and forth between these left kicks and these skips, where I shake out my quads. Just like that. The arms, relax, side, everything you do. Like you get really fast. Alright, here we go. Okay, that's better. So, guys, these recovery runs, just like it sounds, name of the game, this is all about recovery. Doing everything we can to get our bodies able to repair and restore all the damage it did from the last workout and prepare itself for the next workout. So this workout, workout 14, this fits right in between our first pillar workout and the second pillar workout of this week, number 3. So because of that, this workout is a recovery run, but it's also a recovery run. We're repairing and restoring from the work that we did last time I saw you when we were up on Mount Sahama, and then we're prepping for the work that we're going to do the next time I see you. remember guys, we got 1 day a week of full recovery. We've only got 6 workouts per week. So that means that you put that full recovery day into place where it makes the very most sense for you. Whether physically, if you've got an area that's bugging you, you got some persistent pain that's not going away after say 2 or 3 days, and it's actually just getting worse. Putting that recovery in there, addressing that area, making sure that everything has a chance to repair, making sure that stress and rest interval are equal in terms of giving your body time it needs to repair. There's one thing that's huge that I've talked about a lot is hydration, making sure you're topped up on fluids all the time. You're not just hydrating for that workout, you're hydrating to recover from your previous workout as well as preparing for your next workout. Every single system, every single process in our body requires water and lots of it. So make sure that you're giving yourself that basic nutrient that you need. Additionally, guys, eating good food, making sure that your diet is clean. And when I say clean, I mean just get rid of all of that refined crap. So, few exceptions where we actually want that high octane fuel, that refined food, is when we're engaged in very long, very difficult strenuous activity or when we're racing. And the reason is because this food is so refined that it gets into our bloodstream incredibly fast. Our blood sugar spikes. What we want is to maintain an optimal level. Make sure we have enough glucose in our blood to be able to fuel our cells if they're trying to use oxygen and water and that glucose to create ATP. ATP, as I talked about before, are created in our mitochondria in our cells, and they are what give our body energy to carry out every single contraction in every single muscle fiber to be able to do exactly what we're doing. Here's the problem though, guys. If you fuel on those things and you don't actually need it, if you eat that high octane fuel, high in sugar, incredibly refined, really quick to get into our blood, what happens is your body gets used to that. It actually triggers the same area in your brain known as the pleasure and reward center in your brain. The same area that cocaine triggers, the same area that heroin triggers. It is no different in terms of the way it affects our body than taking very, very low doses of very powerful drugs. So, there's an addiction that takes place. Our body becomes reliant upon that. Our body needs that high amount of glucose in our sugar to keep our mood stable, all sorts of different things. We essentially become addicted to it. So refined sugar, if it's not taken very specifically, if it's not placed for very specific reasons, like when we're engaged in strenuous activity or races, what it does is it creates a very, very powerful dependence. So getting rid of that on a day-to-day basis, getting it out of your system, not using it as a way of just satisfying an urge that you have. An easy way, well, this isn't easy, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, unintended, but an approachable way to eliminate these types of things out of your system is to replace foods that may not be the best choice with other foods that essentially do the same thing in terms of satiating the craving, the desire that we have, but in a way that is more sustainable and more healthy. So, on a day-to-day basis, if I'm not fueling for a race or a very intense long workout, it's still important for me to consume a lot of carbs. I'm not going to get into the different polarizing debate about high carb, low fat, high carb, or low carb. What I'm just going to say is, in my experience, what I found works for me, and the reason I approach my diet specifically is based off of the results that it's given me, as well as the research I've done. Lots of other athletes, elite athletes, professional athletes that compete in endurance type endeavors like running. So carbs are important. Carbs are what give our body the energy that we need while we're working out, as well as the energy we need to repair, the energy that we need to allow our body to break down protein and amino acids, and then to use those proteins to repair our different systems and structures. But guys, there's a big difference in eating a bag of Swedish fish and eating a couple of bananas. So both of those have carbohydrates. Swedish fish, really simple carbohydrates. Breaks down into glucose in our system. A banana, on the other hand, is a little bit slower burning carbohydrate. And I say just a little bit, it's not a ton, but a little bit slower burning because it's made out of starch, but it's natural, guys. The carbohydrates that it contains are also housed with fiber, housed with nutrients, housed with all sorts of different phytonutrients that our body needs. So when I do consume basic, simple carbohydrates on a day-to-day basis, it usually is in the form of fruits, or it's in the form of grains, which are complex carbohydrates. So I eat a lot of rice and beans, I eat a lot of bananas, I eat lots of berries, lots of fruit of all different kinds. I also eat lots and lots of vegetables, whether it's leafy greens or whether it is slaw that I make out of cabbage, spinach, and let's see, I like to add carrots, I like to add bananas, not bananas, I like to add carrots, I like to add apples, and I slice all of that up with a mandolin. Mandolin you find in the kitchen, not in studio for recording music. So slice all that up, dress that with some citrus, some salt and pepper. Guys, I eat so much of that on a daily basis. Guys, we've made it to the entrance of the hot springs. Right here, this home belongs to a good friend of mine. His name is Nikolai Santos. If you are ever here in Bahama National Park, come, make friends with Nikolai. Make sure you pay him well to use his facilities. These are private facilities he's created, where he's captured, harnessed those hot springs that he's created. This perfect environment to go down and enjoy. So he's given us permission to enter his property, go down, check out his hot springs. So guys, vegetables, fruit, they all break down to carbohydrates essentially. So they're less dense than you might find in like a potato or in legumes or in a banana or things like that, but they're still carbohydrates. They just have to be housed in a cellulose skeleton which contains lots of water at the same time. The vegetables and fruit, you get your carbohydrates. Additionally, the body is able to use the water that's within the cells of those cellulose structures. That helps with hydration as well. Really important, guys, to eat clean like that between all these different workouts as you prepare yourself to get fitter, whether it's form or function that you want. Eating clean is always important. When I say clean, I mean just get rid of all that refined crap. When you look at a piece of food and you can't tell what it originally was, its original form, don't guys, check this out. This is a private little church. This type of church, as I mentioned before, on our first run entered Bahama National Park. These churches, these are made in conjunction with these homesteads. So it's essentially a shrine. So the families would come, they would have typically, there would be images of the Virgin Mary, or the Virgin, lots of virgins that they praise, that they come and pray to during different times of the day, times of the week, ceremonies. They leave offerings down below. This is kind of a combination of the traditional Aymara belief system mixed with the Christianity, Catholicism that came with Advent, the Spanish. This is a small, private church. Obviously, it's broken down over the years. You find these on the different homesteads. So the homesteads, they have a place where they live, but then they also have a place that's set up for worship. So guys, I said, there's a way you can replace the refined foods with choices that are a lot better. Here's how I do this, guys. This is the way, this is something, take some time, but if you can learn how to do this, this will help you so much in trying to meet your dietary goals, your fitness goals, your health and wellness goals. Here's what it is, guys. The reason we crave certain foods is because our body needs certain nutrients that are found in these foods. So, if your body is craving salt, it's because you need salt. If your body is craving fat, it's because your body needs fat. If your body is craving sugar, because your body needs carbohydrates. But here's something that's interesting, guys. A lot of times, our body can be a little bit confused, and it can cause us to make dietary choices that maybe aren't the very best option. Here's an example. Sometimes I'll find that I'm craving fruit, when in reality, actually just thirst. I'm actually just a little bit dehydrated. So if I have a strong craving for something like that, obviously there's no problem with eating fruit, but sometimes I pay close attention. I'll take a big drink of water, a big glass of water, and I'll see if it satiates that craving. And if it does, then I'll realize that what my body was actually craving was the water that's housed in that fruit. So I make sure, first of all, that I'm hydrated. The other thing, if I'm craving salt, there are lots of things that you can do to make sure that you get what you need without loading your body with additional nutrients that you don't need. I use the word nutrients specifically because nutrients are not a bad thing, guys. Nourishment is not a bad thing. People throw around the word healthy when it has to do with food as if there's some absolute meaning behind that. There's an interesting article that I read a few years back that just blew people's minds apart when they were trying to deconstruct the meaning behind it. There was an article that said that a McDonald's double cheeseburger, back when those used to be 99 cents a piece, I remember that well, that's what I lived off when I was in college, but a McDonald's cheeseburger, double cheeseburger for 99 cents, it said that that was the most nutrient-dense food per price in the history of the world. And people just lost their minds over that. Because what the article was saying was that that food was nutrient-dense. And people took it a step further and said, how dare you make these claims that something like McDonald's double cheeseburger is healthy, when obviously it has as many calories as it does, it has as much fat as it does, it has simple carbohydrates, essentially nothing in there that most people would consider healthy. But I took issue with that argument because what it was saying was that it was nutrient dense. It wasn't saying anything about whether it was healthy or not. So guys, whether or not a food is healthy has to do with where each one of us individually lies optimal muscle mass, exactly what we want for all of our body systems and structures to function optimally, to where we sleep well, to where our immune system is strong, to where our hormone levels are balanced. This is what we would call optimum nutrition. So we have been nourished optimally. We're right there in the middle of that spectrum. If we go to one side, we find children, people that are suffering famines, natural disasters, where they're literally starving to death. On that side of the spectrum, we would consider these people undernourished. On the other end of the spectrum, you have an individual who's pre-diabetic or diabetic. A physician might describe this person as morbidly obese, morbidly meaning unless they do something very soon, their overnourishment is going to kill them. It's going to cause cardiovascular disease, it's going to cause a stroke, it's going to cause a heart attack. So that's on the other end of the spectrum. So we have starving on one side, which is essentially undernourished. We have obese on the other side, which is essentially overnourished. And right there in the middle, what we have is optimally nourished. So whether a food is healthy or not, for any person, has to do with where that person lies on that spectrum of nourishment. Double cheeseburger from McDonald's could potentially be, because it's high in nutrients, could potentially be the thing that pushes the obese individual over the edge and eventually kills them. McDonald's double cheeseburger for somebody who's starving and undernourished, on the other side, could be the healthiest thing that that person could consume. That combination of carbohydrates and refined proteins and fat could potentially be the thing that saves that individual's life. So, all foods lie on that spectrum. A salad which essentially has certain nutrients but has very, very few calories, no protein, very few grams of fat. That salad would be considered unhealthy for an individual who is undernourished. Somebody who is starving, that salad would do very little in terms of rectifying that lack of nutrients. Somebody on the other end of the spectrum who is overnourished, who has lots and lots of calories stored in fat stores on their body, something like a salad could be a perfect way to curb the amount of nourishment that they're putting into their system. Somebody right in the middle might need a combination of both carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So obviously everybody needs all of these, but whether or not food is healthy for a specific individual has to do with where they lie on that particular spectrum. So when I'm trying to get really, really fit for a race, and I want to make sure that I'm not overdoing it on calories, but I'm incredibly hungry because of the amount of work that I'm putting in, I make sure I get that recovery smoothie that has protein, fat, and carbohydrates, as well as all the vitamins and minerals that I need after my workout, the first thing I consume. And then I'm careful throughout the rest of the day, guys. I'm careful with the amount of food that I consume. Obviously, it's very, very selective. I eat foods that are high in nutrients, that are high in carbohydrates, high in protein, high in fat, things that are going to allow me to have the nutrients that I need to repair and to fuel my efforts, but I make sure that I don't overdo it. And when I have cravings to continue eating, what I'll do is I'll eat lots of salad, lots of squash, lots of bananas. I eat like 12 bananas a day. I eat salad probably 3 times a day. I eat lots of soup. On top of that, I eat rice and beans. I eat more bananas. I eat meat. The less meat I eat, the better I feel, but I do still eat meat. I eat fish. The combination of everything, guys. Finding things that are balanced. When I crave something sweet, fiber, it comes with other nutrients, and it comes with water, hydration in my body. So, guys, the easiest way to clean up your diet is just to eliminate anything that's refined. It's a lot easier, it's a lot more efficient, it's a lot better in terms of making sure that you're not consuming too much. If, say, you're craving something salty, you eat a pickle rather than eating a whole bag of potato chips. It's better to eat a piece of fruit than it is to eat a piece of candy. It's important to make sure that you're optimally hydrated so that you don't eat things, soda, you don't drink juices that are really high in sugar. So all of these things, we find a way around to make sure that we're fueling optimally and getting everything we need. Guys, we have made it all the way to the hot spring. Perfect timing, guys. This wraps up our recovery run. No better way to recover than soaking in geothermal waters like this. Guys, let's just cruise around and just look at this for a second. Just how beautiful this area is. So we have this river right here. This river is flowing down. This river is probably 90 degrees right now. Absolutely perfect. You've got different plants that grow, different types of algae and mosses that grow in the presence of this warm water. Off in the distance, guys, we have the peaks on the Chilean side of the park. If we pan across, we've got alpacas, we've got llamas there in the distance. If we look off towards the east, we have Mount Sahama, that tallest volcano in all of Bolivia, the tallest mountain, honestly. Just under 22,000 feet. And then guys, let's work our way back up this way and just take in these views of this hot spring. So, heat can be an incredibly powerful modality for recovery. Not just to get blood flowing, but also it just seems to bring some sense of ease, some sense of enjoyment. There's this relaxation that comes from sitting in warm water. Look at this, guys. This is all the geothermal water that's come up out of the ground. It's created these lakes, these little waterfalls. These all come together, and then they pool in these different areas. You've got lots of different systems, lots of different pools throughout this entire area where that hot water comes up out of the earth and then makes its way down here. This is an area right here where my good friend Nikolai Santos has prepared this area. Look at this pool that he's created. This water right here down on this side, right around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, about the same temperature that you find in a typical hot tub. And then if you work your way further this direction, if we get down and we look really close, we can see there's a little bit of movement in the water. We can look down through this crystal clear water, there's a tiny little hole, and that is the source. That's where the hot water is coming out. It's on this side of the pool. There's the temperature is right around 107 degrees. So it is warm, but absolutely perfect after a long day, a long run. Nothing better for recovery than this. Whew, guys, I'm going to wrap things up because I don't want to lose my modesty. I'm about to quickly close up and jump into that thing. So, great work. Making it all the way to the end. We have made it to the hot springs here in Sahama National Park. Beautiful country of Bolivia. Great work, guys. The rest of that will be it.
Okay. Пожалуйста. gonna work out, but first I'm gonna run and pee. Okay. Okay. I have to do a few things. I have to put some more Vaseline. And in some areas too that I'm not willing to share yet. Okay. Yeah. Vaseline is my best friend. Have to fix everything. Okay.
Welcome back, guys. I'm your trainer, Tommy Ribs. This is workout number 21. Guys, once again in the beautiful country of Bolivia, but in the middle of the Sololi Desert. If you don't believe me, check this out. We literally, there is nothing as far as the eye can see in any direction. So, we've got nice, easy warm-up. This is going to be pillar workout number 2 for this week. Here we go, guys. So we are heading east, and as long as the sun doesn't change direction, and as long as we're not consumed by a flock of wild foxes, we're going to be all right. We've just got to stay on this course. Unfortunately, there is no water out here, so yeah, that'd be rough. That could be rough, but I'm just going to trust my instincts. We're going to continue this way. Nice and easy right now, guys. So the Sololi Desert, it should be called the So Lonely Desert. The Sololi Desert is one of the highest deserts that's here on the Altiplano of Bolivia. We are above 14,000 feet in elevation. Guys, that's high. That's so high. So we're going to start out long, easy warm-up. We got wind. The wind here in this desert, guys, is part of what has formed the unique geological features that we'll find here. If everything goes okay, if we make it to the end, we don't die of dehydration, the sun doesn't change its course, and if we don't get attacked by the flock of foxes, we are going to end up right at this incredible geological structure known as the Árbol de Piedra, which means the rock tree. It's exactly what it sounds like. So we're just gonna settle in. I'm gonna trust that my body's gonna warm up just a little bit. Because I'll be honest, right now guys, I am freezing. We got this wind coming in from the south, and it's strong, and it's cold. We got the beating sun coming down as well. So it's this really odd combination of uncomfortable heat from the sun and uncomfortable cold from the wind. Whew. Right now during our warm-up, no more than 4 out of 10 for that RPE, or rate of perceived exertion. That means 75% of our max heart rate. For me, it's right at 140. Just perfect. So this Siloe Desert is home to so many interesting features. Different lakes, salt lakes that have flamingos like we've seen. The different colored lakes based off of the different types of algae and different types of minerals. The Laguna Colorada here in the region. There's also the Laguna Verde, which is a green lake based off of other types of algae. We've got 3 of the 6 different types of flamingos in the whole world found in this desert. We've got foxes, we've got lizards, we've got vicunias, we've got viscachas, oh, we've got llamas, we've got alpacas, and we got lonely, lurpy distance runners. It's alright, sometimes you gotta become a monk. You get the work in, see the results. That's what I'm telling myself anyway. Here we go. Let's check in with that heart rate. Make sure no more than that 75%. Just allowing our bodies slowly ease into this. Okay, so shake those arms out. Go through that itinerary, make sure there's no areas in your body where there is non-productive tension. We want to eliminate all of that. Make sure that any muscle contraction is generated towards productive movement. I'm going to stretch these quads out. Alright. So today, guys, this is our final pillar workout if we don't count our long progressive run at the end of the week. So the last time we had that pillar workout, remember we were going around Laguna Colorada. We saw all those flamingos. We saw the vicunias. We saw the llamas. We saw the alpacas. We even caught that tiny little lizard on the lizard hunt. That was fun. Today, we'll keep our eyes open. Hopefully, we'll be able to find some fun little critters. We'll see. Today, we're going to do very similar to what we did the last time. Hopefully, you've enjoyed that recovery run between these workouts. Your body's primed and ready to go. So we're still in our strength phase. So what we're going to do on this pillar workout is a little bit different than last time. We're going to do intervals, but they're going to be 2-minute intervals instead of 1-minute intervals. We're going to go 2 minutes in moderate intensity and then 2 minutes of recovery. We're going to do that back and forth, back and forth. What we're doing, guys, is slowly teaching our body to hold these periods of intense exercise for longer periods of time. This is a way that we can introduce these stresses to our structures and our systems in a way that doesn't overdo it in terms of intensity or volume. As the wind here is so strong. The wind is something that's been responsible for incredible, unique geological features that we're going to see. Also, it's responsible for freezing my hands right now. So I'm going to tuck them in my shirt. Alright, here we go. It's kind of warming up. It's warming up a little bit, but that wind, I feel like the body starts to warm up and that wind is just picking up higher and higher intensity. So pay attention to what we have all around us. Then I'm going to show you actually. I'm going to get out in front of you and just pick this up and show you. So these pebbles from this sand, the wind carries that, and it essentially becomes like a sandblast around here. So the wind picks this up, and it carries it, and it works just like sandpaper would on a sculpture. So it carves out these very unique figures on the stones that we find in the area. You're just going to have to trust me, because we haven't seen them yet, but I promise as long as we're still headed east, we will see them a few miles down the road. Okay, let's check in with that heart rate. Mine is too high. I want to bring things down even more. Light intensity. So, if I'm going too slow for you, if you're just smoking me, then increase that speed and let me hear about it. Give me a shout out. Let me know you kicked my butt on that workout. If it's too fast, that's all good. Just bring it down just a bit. Oh, nice and easy. Doing everything I can to suck all the oxygen out of this incredibly low density atmosphere. Alright, so let's find the rhythm in our breathing, line it up with our feet, and just cruise along. Let's fall into that trance. So, because of that incredibly low density atmosphere, this desert and the deserts that surround it here on the Altiplano of Bolivia, they provide some of the very best views of the stars at night that you'll find anywhere in the world. So, stars shine down. You can see that strip of the Milky Way. We're in the southern hemisphere, so you can see the constellations that dominate the southern hemisphere, specifically the Southern Cross. So that big kite-shaped constellation makes up the Southern Cross. That is so prominent in the night sky here in the Bolivian Altiplano. here that they literally pass a shadow. You can literally see their shadow. Remember Cat Stevens? He's saying about being followed by a moon shadow. That's something that I've actually seen here up in the Altiplano. But I've never in my life seen stars that were so
I have a
bright
side ache.
that they actually cast the star shadow until I came here. Incredible stuff. Alright, so you may not notice it, but we begun to climb just a little bit. And this tiny change in incline in an area such as this, at this elevation, that dramatically changes the effort. So in order to stay
Oh, I think it's helped.
within that light intensity threshold, I gotta bring my speed down just a little bit.
It did.
So if you look out, guys,
Thank you,
you
Ashley
see
Paulson.
lots of different trenches that are heading between east and west. And if you just dropped me here and I was looking at this, I would actually think these are rows and furrows, the kind of rows and furrows. That's what's called when you plow a field and you're going to plant crops. You have the rows and the furrows, and those are designed for the crops to be lined up in the rows, and then the furrows are the area where the water comes and settles, and that water eventually gets to the roots of those crops. That looks exactly like what we have here, but what's actually going on, these are just the ruts from the vehicles, the 4x4s that make this route. These roads are seasonal, and by that I mean they're here during the dry season, and then they get completely washed out during the wet season. And so the vehicles have to establish these new paths, these new roads. There's not a defined road. They're essentially driving the big 4x4s. A lot of them are old Land Rovers from the 70s and the 80s, or Land Cruisers rather. Land Cruisers from the 70s and 80s that have been rebuilt and just meticulously cared for. It is incredibly admirable to see the way that the folks up here on the Altiplano here in Bolivia, the way that they care for those vehicles. They wash them every night after they're done using them to get rid of the dust, to get rid of the grime, to get rid of the salt. If they cross the salt plains, that salt is incredibly corrosive, and it gets thrown up underneath on the belly of the vehicle. And so every single day the vehicles are washed and taken care of. The wheels are inspected, the suspension is inspected, not suspected, inspected. Every single inch of that vehicle is inspected at the end of each day, just to make sure that everything is working right. When we were driving out here, guys, to get here, traveling across Bolivia, there was this incredibly sketchy roadblock. There was construction taking place on the asphalt, and it essentially turned this two-lane road into a one-way road where you have semis coming both directions. We came up over a rise, and there was a semi coming in our direction, which meant that the vehicles had to pull out to the right, and you couldn't see it before it happened. And so, traveling in a caravan, 5 or 6 of these Land Cruisers, all of a sudden, boom, they had to hit the brakes and move over out of the way so this 18-wheeler didn't come plowing through all of us. And there was a crash. One of these Land Cruisers hit the other Land Cruiser, boom, right in the back. And the hood came peeling up, and The lights were smashed, the bumpers were smashed, and it was something that a normal, I say that not as though abnormal is a pejorative term, but any other crew of vehicles that I would have been with, they'd have packed up, they'd have called the tow truck, and that would have been the end of that expedition. But these guys, it was incredible. They all pulled out their tools, they made adjustments, and they went to work immediately right there on the side of the road. And then that evening, after we'd ended up in Sahama, that national park, they completely took the front of that car apart. They took the hood off, and then just using hammers and pieces of wood, they started to work on that thing, completely hammered out the deformity that had been caused by that crash. And by the next morning, that car looked as good as new. And all of that was repaired using tools that they just had, just everyday tools. Hammered it out, put it back on there, screwed everything back into place, and good as new. It blew my mind, guys. They could just be so industrious and just figure that out with the basic tools that they have at their disposal. Alright, let's keep moving, guys. Just gentle warm up. We got about a minute left, and then we're going to start that first of those 2-minute moderate intensity intervals. I'm going to let you take the lead, guys. Just take in these views out here in the middle of the Sololi Desert and the Altiplano here in Bolivia. Okay guys, about 30 more seconds and we're going to start this first one. So 2 minutes at a time. We're going to go 2 minutes of moderate intensity. That means up to 85% of our max heart rate. And then we're going to go 2 minutes at full recovery. That means as slow as you need to go to let your body fully recover. Bring that heart rate up to 85% of your max. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Boom. 2 minutes. Okay, so ease into this. Settle into that new effort. Line that breathing up with your feet. Here we go. Halfway there, guys. A minute left. Do a quick check. Make sure you're not exceeding that 85% of your max heart rate. For me, it's 160 beats a minute. I'm right there. Perfect. 5 more seconds, guys. Here we go.
Brazilian.
Alright, 10 more seconds. Here we go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. Woo. Alright, back down. Recovery intensity. As slow as you need to go. Bring that heart rate Back down. We're gonna cover for 2 minutes, guys. And then we're gonna do that again. That first one is always the most abrupt. So give our body a chance to adjust. Let our systems know what we've got in mind. It'll make tiny little adaptations where our heart start beating more efficiently. The blood vessels, arteries and veins will dilate, they'll open up, carry that blood more effectively. Okay. We got just over a minute left of this recovery, and then we're going to go at it again. 2 more minutes. We're going to do a total of 5 of these, guys, so this is number 2 of 5. Take those arms out. I'm going to try to give cues as I see myself needing them. But guys, it is so hard to breathe at this elevation. Even harder to talk and breathe. So, focus in on the important things. Stay relaxed. Stay smooth. Try to eliminate tension. We want our eyes up. We want our chest tall. We want to be driving with those legs relaxed. We're going to go again, guys, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. 2 minutes. Ease into this. Allow that heart rate to slowly rise. Here we go. Relax. Keep moving forward. Find that rhythm. Eyes up. Tall chest. Come on, relax those arm grips. Why are you tensing up? Here we go. Quick, light feet. Heart rate's rising up. Right there, right at 85%. Five more seconds, guys. We got this. Be strong. 14,000 feet. Woo! 10 more seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, keep moving, guys. Oh, jeez. I feel like I'm drowning. Like literally drowning on dry ground. Okay, we got this. I'm not dead yet. Nice and easy. Let's get moving. Get that blood flowing. Alright. Okay, just shake it out. Here we go. Bienvenidos al altiplano de Bolivia. Welcome to the high plains of Bolivia. We got just under a minute left. Man, this is no joke. Time's up here. You gotta remember though, guys, all of this struggle, all of this effort just makes us stronger. This is what we came here for, right? If this was easy, we wouldn't do it. We don't do this because it's easy. We do it because it's hard. That's what makes us stronger. We got 20 more seconds. If it wasn't difficult, it would be a waste of time. Unless it's sleep. Alright. 5 more seconds. Here we go, guys. In 3, 2, 1. Boom. Here we go. Whew. Let's ease into this. Let's find that rhythm. Here we go. Moderate intensity. 85% of your max heart rate. 7 out of 10 on that RPE. Alright, call chest. Keep those arms relaxed. Side. Don't clench those hands. Keep them relaxed. Keep them moving. There we go. Whew. Halfway there, guys. One more minute. We got this. 30 more seconds. More seconds, guys. We got this. And 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, keep moving. Follow the light. Alright. Okay. We got this, guys. Nice and easy. 2-minute recovery. We're more than halfway done. We've only got 2 more of these, guys. 2 more. Shake those arms out. Shake those legs out. Let that vision come back. The dark cloud is starting to fade away. My hearing's coming back. It's all good. You know the drill, guys. Got about 40 more seconds left, just a little more than that. Take this as easy as we need. Alright. Okay, 20 more seconds. You guys ready for the next one? This is the second to last one. So, don't save it to the last one to be brave. Second to the last one. That's where we challenge ourselves. We're not going to try to pass out. We're going to try to do everything we can to stay conscious. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Okay, Eyes up, chest tall. Big deep breaths. Using that diaphragm. Keep those arms relaxed. Halfway there, guys. We got one more minute left. Stay relaxed. Eliminate any tension from your body, any non-productive stress or strain. Just wipe that out. Just float along. 30 more seconds, guys. We got this. More seconds. Here we go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. We're having fun, right? Okay, let's get those legs under us. Stay vertical. There we go. Okay, let's slowly start jogging again. This is our last one, guys. Our final 2-minute moderate intensity interval. If you got fluid there with you, go ahead and nurse those. Make sure you're keeping that hydration topped off. Hydrate or dehydrate. Don't forget it, guys. Hydration is happiness. Water is life. Let's see how many more platitudes I can come up with. Guys, this last interval is going to drop us right at the base of these incredible rock formations. We're going to have a chance to get up right up close and see them. Alright. You guys ready for this? The last one? It's our final interval, guys. We got this. We got 15 more seconds. Nice and easy. Here we go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Last one. 2 minutes. Ease into this. Woo, look at that. We got a little bit of a decline to help us out. Obviously, that means we're just going to be going a little bit faster, but something right downhill always feels welcome. Light, relax, quick feet, pushing that heart rate up to 85% of that max, 160 for me, right on. Here we go. Halfway there, guys, 1 more minute, we got this. We got this. pushing. Guys, we got 25 seconds left. There we go. Stay relaxed. Don't strain. Remember that motto, guys. Finesse it. Don't force it. Here we go. Oh, and this rise. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Boom. We got it, guys. We did it. All of the hard work is done. Now, we're going through the motions. We're going to go into a long, easy cool down. Oh man. And check this out, guys. Go ahead and take the lead. This is what I was talking about. These rock formations. We're going to get right up close to be able to take all of this in. Check these out, guys. How cool is this? So, these structures are known geologically as neogene ignigbrites. Neogene ignigbrites. So if we break that down, neogene has to do with a new formation of ignigbrites, has to do with the word igneous, has to do with the volcanic nature of these stones. So look at these, how they rise up. So this is all created because of the volcanic activity that happens in this area. We are in the Puna volcanic range. All of these have been carved out as the wind has come through and just chiseled with this sand. Look at this. Let me just show you. So when the sand hits the wind, or when the wind hits the sand, and it comes up and it's thrown, boom, powerfully. It just grinds these surfaces away as though it was sandpaper. It creates these incredibly just intense figures, these structures, just completely abstract. All of that, guys, is the power of the wind. If you've ever wondered what wind has the ability to do, if you've ever heard about wind erosion, and if you doubted it, if you doubted the power of the wind, guys, this right here, this is exactly how this happens. One grain of sand at a time coming through and just carving away these layers. So there are parts of this stone that are obviously more dense because of the way that this is formed, the volcanic nature, and the areas that are less dense, the areas that aren't quite as strong. These are the ones that are carved away, and we find these structures left behind. So we're going to keep cruising along, guys, just easy. But right up in front of us, there is a whole garden of these neogene ignigbrites. That's the name of this specific geological feature. These new rock formations that are volcanic in nature and are carved out by this wind erosion. As I just mentioned, guys, briefly, this volcanic range that comes on the north as well as the south, this is known as the Puna, P-U-N-A, the Puna volcanic range here in the desert on the Altiplano here in Bolivia. So this is an area that formed 2.9 million years ago. The volcanic activity formed this region, and these structures are just continually evolving as the sands come in. At certain times, guys, they're completely buried by this sand and these cinders, this sediment that piles up, and then other storms come in, the wind shifts, and it exposes new rock structures, new formations. Constantly evolving, constantly changing. The wind that whips across this area, carrying that sand, carrying those stones, and just slowly carving away these massive structures. Alright, nice and easy, guys. Let's keep that intensity like full recovery. We've done all the hard work that we need to do. From here on out, it's just continuing to the end. These easy efforts, or light intensity efforts, at the end of these workouts, you guys already know what they're for. It's to help pump out some of that metabolic waste, keep that blood flowing, help to filter that blood to our kidneys, help to gather all of those deposits of metabolic waste that we don't need floating around in our system. Keep those fluids topped off so you can be more efficient in that. Start thinking right now, guys. Start thinking about that recovery meal. Make sure you get that ingrained in your head. Make sure you imprint on that so that that's what you consume after we finish this workout. Neodyne ignibrites. I swear, guys, these geologists, they got a way of mixing their Latin together and creating all kinds of new words. As long as we can break it down and understand what they're trying to say. The other thing that these light intensity efforts do, guys, when our heart rate is down low, when our heart rate is within that light intensity, what this does is the proportion of fat that our body is using to fuel off of is higher. So there's this misconception. People think that you use all the glucose in your blood, you use all the glycogen that's stored in your blood and in your liver until it's gone, and then your body switches over to fat. It's actually not true, guys. We're constantly burning both fat and sugar, but it's in different proportions. This has some to do with our diet, but it has most to do with the intensity of the activity that we're engaged in. So typically, when our heart rate is down below 130 beats per minute, we are burning a higher proportion of fat as fuel than sugar as fuel. And that sugar is the sugar that's found in our blood, that glucose. And so when we're engaged in this light intensity activity, we're increasing fat burning to carry out this activity. That's going to make us more lean. That's going to help us to become more efficient as we move, whether we're looking for form or function or both as our goal. This is going to help us carry that out. The other thing that it does is it helps to work that aerobic system. So it helps our body to become more efficient at using oxygen as that main fuel source. So combining oxygen with the glucose that's in our system, with the water. So guys, we're always burning glucose, so don't misunderstand me. We're not mixing fat and oxygen and water and creating fuel. Our body is converting that fat into glucose, and then we're burning that. That's a process known as gluconeogenesis. We talked about that before. Gluconeogenesis, we break down our Latin. Gluco, meaning glucose or sugar. Neogenesis, neo meaning new. Genesis oxygen in the water, and that becomes a fuel source. So, depending on our level of activity, our body will recruit different stored fuel to be able to carry out those activities. Guys, we're going to swing around over here. Look at these structures. How rad is this? Just like we saw before. Let's begin to meander through these and just see them up close. Look at this, guys. Let's keep that intensity alive. We're going to keep moving. Look at this. Volcanic activity has created these stones, and then the wind erosion has come through and just ripped these things apart. It's created this incredibly fragmented, almost like a cheese grater surface on these stones. Very, very cool stuff. Let's keep moving, guys, nice and easy, all the way through. We're just going to meander through here and just look and see what we can find. Let's cruise up here. Looks like we can get a little bit of elevation here. I'm going to have to turn this into a hike because climbing up these steep inclines at this elevation, guys, that will immediately put my heart rate up above what I want it to be right now. Light intensity, using that fat as that fuel source, increasing my body's efficiency in this aerobic type of activity. So that makes our mitochondria more powerful, more dense. It teaches us how to use these resources, so glucose, water, and oxygen more efficiently. Look at this, guys, how it's completely carved out. This will continue to carve this out until these stones are just hanging here, and then eventually, this will eventually fall. Hopefully it's not from some idiot pushing on it and knocking it down. Oh man, look at this, guys, the light coming through here, all of the different distorted shadows. Oh man, I love it. Okay, let's keep moving, guys. Ooh, let's see what else we can explore up here. Wow, check this one out, guys, right here. This stone, which was once right there in that crevasse, completely just cracked and fell out. That's so cool that you can still see it exactly in that location where it was found before. Alright, here we go. Keep moving. Light intensity. Alright, my heart rate is still right at 140. So, right exactly where I want it. We're just going to meander through here, see what there is to see. Man, look at this, how the wind is just coming through. The crazy thing about wind erosion, guys, is there's no area too small, and so it creates really interesting geological forms. You get a small little indentation, and the wind gets in there, and it starts to tear apart, and the hole becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden you've got this burrowing, this under-burrowing that takes place, where it creates these tunnels, it creates these small divots. Very cool. Alright. And then, guys, the finale of all of this, the reason that people come here, not only to see these structures, but specifically, there's one structure that people come from all over to see. And this is what's known as the Árbol de Piedra, or the Tree of Rock. And when we get over there, guys, you'll see exactly why they call it that. We're going to cruise around here just a little bit more before we get there. Just continuing this cool down, letting our body flush out that waste, increasing our body's aerobic capacity, building more and more red blood cells as we move along. it. We're gonna cruise over here and take this in. We're gonna go the long way. We're gonna go around this structure here and work our way over. Take that in. Wow, check this out. Alright, detour. Look at this, guys. This right here. How it once fit perfectly right in this area, and it's completely just calved off and created. This fit perfectly together like a puzzle. Unreal. Okay, here we go. Let's keep moving. Guys, I can't wrap my head around the fact that we're still in the tropics. This wind is so cold, everything is so barren. This is so different from everything you imagine growing up as a kid that the tropics represents. The tropics, guys, remember, is that specific latitude. It has nothing to do with temperature. It has nothing to do with humidity. It has everything to do with latitude on a map. And we right now are smack dab in the middle of the tropics. So this is what the tropics look like when you are 14,000 feet up in the desert. The Saloni Desert here in Bolivia. Guys, check this out. Let's cruise around and look at it. This is Árbol de Piedra, or the tree of stone. Look at that. You can see why they would name it that. You've got the mass of the stone up top, and then all of that bottom area has been carved out from this wind. Let's cruise over here, take in a couple of different angles. We came all this way, guys. We might as well admire it for just a little bit of time. How cool is that? That wind has just come through and carved all of these fingers, all of these branches. It really does look like a tree the way it rises up. Oh man. Alright, guys, great job making it all the way to the end. But you know what? I got a treat for you. Before we end this thing, I'm going to show you guys my new friend. So I told you, if we were careful, if we were lucky, we might be able to find some little critters. Guys, these right here, these are desert foxes. These are little pups. Let's see if we can come get them to say hi. Look at this guy. Oh man, what a rugged little animal. So these are fox pups, guys. Check this out. So, these are wild animals, and they also carry a range of diseases that humans don't do very well with. But, let's see. Hey, you're okay. Look at this little guy. Very close to my house. Every spring, you see the mamas walking around with their little pups. Hey, you okay? You okay? Hey. Oh, that's adorable. You guys are looking for food. So typically these guys will eat what these scotches, little chinchillas, also eat lizards, also eat, unfortunately, whatever tourists will throw at them. That's why not afraid of me. Look at this other one. He's got a little brother. He's gonna sit down. Listen to him purr, guys. Hey. You okay? Oh, man. Alright, we should probably leave them in peace before I electrons out. They decide if they're hungry for solid or gringo. Okay, let's cruise back over, guys. Let's take in one more view. Oh man, I don't want to leave these guys. I love these little foxes. Great. Okay, guys, how cool is that? Wild foxes out here in the middle of the desert. That took all the restraint in my system to not go over and scratch that thing with my ears. But man, we are remote, and if one of those things decided to take a bite out of me, I don't know what we would do in terms of medical attention. Check this out, guys. One more view. The Árbol de Piedra here in the Salona Desert and the Altiplano. Beautiful country of Bolivia. Great work making it all the way to the end, guys. I'm your trainer, Tommy Rose. Rest up, and we'll see you guys soon. Okay, pause, and the workout. We're not done yet. I did his program this before. It's like 4 weeks program, but I did all the long runs. So whatever. I'll take this opportunity to pee and to put some Vaseline. Okay, I put Vaseline everywhere where it needs to be. Okay. Start. Let's start. I used to dread the long runs because my skin will be
so damaged after. But now with this, it's
Welcome back, guys. I'm your trainer, Tommy Ribs. This is workout number 22, some easy recovery run. We are in an area known as Sol de Mañana. That means the morning sun. We're once again in the Altiplano of the country of Bolivia. We're going to take it nice and easy and explore the incredible geothermal activity that we find here. Here we go. So, just to give you a little bit of aerial view of this location, we are in the the southwest corner of Bolivia, right on the border of Chile, the country of Chile. We are in what's known as the Puna volcanic mountain range. This is also part of the Sololi Desert. The Sololi Desert is an incredibly high desert. We right now, at this very moment, guys, we are at 16,200 feet elevation. That is more than 3 miles high, guys. So we've got an easy recovery run, which means we're just going to cruise around, guys. We're going to check out the incredible geological formations here, as well as the geothermal activity that's here. Guys, we are right now at the highest geyser area in the entire world. It's also in combination with the Tatillo geyser range that's just across the Chilean border, which actually is the same exact pool that fuels these geysers. We are at the third largest geyser area in the world, only behind Yellowstone and then the large geyser field, which is found in Russia. So we're just going to take our time cruising along, just essentially going through the motions here, guys. No more than 4 out of 10 on that RPE, rate of perceived exertion. No more than 75% of our max heart rate. The last time I saw you guys, we had our second pillow workout of the week. This is our recovery run from that. So what we're hoping to do is just flush out any of that metabolic waste that's still remaining. We're pumping blood to all the different cells in our body that need it. That blood carries valuable nutrients. It carries everything that our cells need as long as we're fueling and hydrating properly. Additionally, guys, it carries the building materials that are needed to repair the different tissues throughout our system that we've damaged. So this is incredibly important. Essentially, we're flossing out and allowing all the different parts of our body to become new, to build those new layers of strength as well as fitness. Guys, I'm doing this in a place like no other in all the world. This has never, ever been done, guys. Exactly what we're doing right here, capturing these incredible locations so that we can all experience this, and at the same time we can get some incredible work done on our system. So whether it's form, function, whatever our goals are, this is how we're going to do it. So guys, we're in our final week of part 1 of this series. So what I want you to do as we're cruising along on these easy recovery runs, light recovery runs, I want you to think back. Alright, so we're starting to incline. Because of this elevation, guys, I've got to bring this down to a hike. I want to keep my heart rate right at 75% of max. If you're able to continue jogging at your light intensity, 75% of your max heart rate, by all means go for it. But if you've got to drop things down a little bit, that's okay as well. What I want you to do though, guys, is think back 3.5 weeks ago, almost 4 weeks ago when we started this. Think back that first week when we talked a lot about creating something new, becoming something new, or someone new. Thinking about those areas in your life that you wanted to improve upon. Remember that quote, it's never too late to become what you might have been. So think back on that. Think back on how well you've held yourself accountable. And maybe think back on who you were and what you were back at that time. And give yourself some credit if you've made some positive changes in your life or in habits in your lifestyle. Here's the thing though, guys, is that unless we continue to always build upon that, unless we're constantly striving to improve, just like running on a treadmill, if we stop, but that thing still keeps going and it throws us back. That's exactly how progress goes. Personal progress, fitness progress, mental, emotional, whatever that progress is, whatever that goal that we're striving for, that we're not constantly working, we don't just keep swimming, then we'll go backwards. It's like a fish trying to swim upstream. If that fish pauses and stops, he goes back. There seems to be this trend. It constantly wants to pull us down. At the same time though, guys, we as human beings, we innately want to become better. We want to become great. We want to achieve and reach our potential. And so it's constantly this battle of what we are compared to what we know that we can become, or what we believe that we can become, or even perhaps something that those around us know that we can become. And they help to motivate us. They help us to strive and become something better. Remember that Pablo Neruda quote? That little romantic, he said, I want to do to you what the spring does to the cherry tree. He probably meant that in a little bit more romantic terms, but if we think about that in terms of potential, the people that want to help us, that see our potential, when everything looks dead in the dark of winter and there's this tiny bud, and whether we see that potential in others or we see that potential in ourselves, cultivating that and allowing that to come forth and blossom.
If you need
and
to
reach that
adjust
full
anything,
potential. So,
you
just
just
thinking
need to
about that,
adjust.
guys. Even if you find yourself exactly where you were, at least you haven't gone backwards. And just to maintain that space, that takes work, that takes effort, and that deserves praise and admiration. But it is possible, guys, to continue moving forward, to continue reaching new levels of our potential, reaching new heights, becoming better, kinder, more humble, more patient, more gracious. All of these attributes that make us who we are, that help us fully optimize our potential as human beings. Guys, check this out. Just to give you an idea of how high we are. We've got, look at this, we've got snow. This snowfall, guys, this snowfall fell, let me do some math really quick. This is 3 months ago that this snow fell. And the fact that it is still here, Just gives us an idea of how high we are. Welcome to the tropics, guys. All right, check this out. We're just under 10 minutes into this workout. Before we drop down into this geyser area, I want you to just really think. Just think back, honestly think back on who you were and what you were and what you wanted to become. And ask yourself, have you become that? Or are you on the trajectory to become that? And if not, guys, make a decision right now, today, that you're going to take the actions necessary to do that. And if you are on that trajectory, if you are improving, awesome. Let's just continue to build. We can always improve, always get better. Hold yourself accountable, guys. And if that's not enough, tell somebody what you want to do. Tell somebody that you trust. Tell somebody that's safe. Somebody that sees you. Somebody that really values who you are as a human being. Let them know. And then have them hold you accountable. Let's slow things down just a little bit, guys. Right here. This is the beginning of these geysers. We've got to be careful in this area because the ground is incredibly volatile. We don't know what's going on underneath us. We don't want to sink through a hole. The water that creates this activity, these geysers, all of these little pools, the water, guys, it works essentially like a pressure cooker. So we see steam coming up like this, coming up out of tiny little holes on the surface. But the temperature of the water down below us, guys, is sometimes several hundred degrees higher than the boiling point. So we can be above areas that the water underneath is 400, 500, 600, 700 degrees, guys. That is so hot considering that water boils at a temperature of right around 200 degrees Fahrenheit. At this elevation, water boils at right around 190 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason is because the atmosphere is less dense, and the pressure created by the atmosphere is one of the things that determines the boiling point of a liquid. The reason a pressure cooker is able to raise water temperatures up so high is because the atmosphere, the relative atmosphere within that pressure cooker, the pressure is so high that it holds that water down tight before it begins to boil. Check this out, guys, coming up from above. Look at this, that boiling water coming up out of the ground. You can see the rims around the edges of this boiling pool down here. You can see there are mineral deposits, and these mineral deposits have created essentially these shelves that come around the outside. This part right here, guys, is safe. This is completely stable. We can get down a little bit closer to it. Oh, but look at that, guys. Just the change in temperature right now. This feels like I'm in a sauna. The steam coming up. Wow, incredible stuff. The smell here, guys, is incredibly strong of sulfur. So sulfur is one of the chemicals that, or one of the minerals that's found in this area. Look at this right here, guys. Look at how red this soil is. This right here is iron. As I mentioned before, when iron is oxidized, it turns red like that. Just like you find on a rusty nail. That's exactly what's taking place here. If we cruise down here and we look down on the edge, those borders there, you can see that green and that yellow. That's because of that sulfur. This sulfur, guys, it smells so strong of rotten eggs. I'm sure you've heard the term fire and brimstone. That's a term that's used in biblical texts to describe hell. So a lot of times people don't know what it's actually in reference to. Brimstone is actually another name for sulfur. So check this out. These colors right here, the yellow and the green, that right there are sulfur deposits. So the smell here is so strong So strong that the ancient writers who composed the verses of biblical text, the best description that they could find in imagining what hell would be like, eternal torment, is to be in a place that consisted of fire and brimstone, or fire and sulfur. That's a pretty strong analogy. Alright, so luckily we're able to take in the sights and sounds, but as I said before, you're going to be spared the smells. If you want to have a really authentic experience, what I encourage you to do is maybe open up a couple of eggs, maybe 5 or 6, stick them in a pot, stick that pot out in the sun for a couple of days, and then pause this workout and come back 5 days later and open that pot, maybe with a humidifier, blowing that smell right in your face. That'll give you a pretty good idea of what it smells like here. Check this one out, guys. This is another one. This area, the entire area is full of this geothermal activity. Geothermal, remember, let's use our Latin. Geo, meaning the earth, and thermal, meaning heat. So this is heat which is generated from the earth. Look at this one, guys. Look at the sulfur, the deposits there in the yellow and green that are found on the edges. This is also, guys, the green is also sometimes indicative of a specific type of algae that oxidizes iron. And so iron, obviously, when it becomes oxidized, it turns red. But there's also different types of algae that feed on that iron, that oxidize that iron. Look at this, guys. You can see if you look really close, there's a little bit of a blue hue in the water. The blue in the water actually comes from the presence of another mineral known as silica. This silica, when it mixes together within the water, it creates this bluish hue. Alright, let's keep moving along this brimstone. Then, guys, we see other deposits of white minerals. This white mineral, guys, it can be anything from calcium carbonate or potassium, or even, as we've seen, borax. Guys, if we look really close, you can see the tracks down on the ground. These are alpaca and llama tracks. The alpaca and the llama, they come into these areas, and they actually use this area to warm up when it's really cold. The temperature right here, this tiny little microclimate within this little caldera or crater is probably 30 to 40 degrees warmer than when we were up on those ridges. Alright, let's keep moving. So much to see, guys. Let's make sure we check in with that intensity. We got a tiny gentle rise here. We're just going to cruise through this little creek bed. A change in elevation, guys, just a tiny incline, just dramatically changes the effort level. I'm going to check in with my heart rate. I'm a little bit too high. I'm going to bring this down to a high. I don't want to go over at 75% of my max heart rate. I want to stay in this low intensity. I want to keep this an actual recovery effort. Guys, let's cruise over here. This is a bit of a hike off into the distance, but even from here, I can hear the sound, the pressure. That's known as a fumarola. A fumarola comes from the Latin fumo or fumo, which means steam or smoke. This is an area where there's a high amount of pressure and only a small cavity that allows that steam to come up. Look at this, guys. All of this sulfur, all these different colors. This right here, guys, is a small fumarola. We've got steam coming up from this hole in the ground. Early in the morning, right before the dawn, is when the temperature is the coldest in this region. Because of that, the steam that you see is in response to that change in temperature, that temperature variance. So when we have steam that's hundreds and hundreds of degrees Fahrenheit coming up out of the ground, and it is making contact with the cold air, the coldest right before the dawn, right before the sun rises, this is when the steam is most prominent. This is when you can see it the very best. That's why this place has its specific name in reference to the morning and how strong, how dynamic these fumarolas are and these geysers are. That's the reason for that name, guys. Sol de Mañana, the morning sun. We got a little bit of an incline, and in this sandy basin, that brings that heart rate up real quick. So, I gotta bring it down just a little bit. We're gonna cruise up, check out that fumarola. Man, the sound of it, even from here. So, alright, my heart rate's dropped down a little bit more. Let's cruise over here and check this one out. I'm gonna make sure I stay honest and hold myself accountable. There's no point in pushing up above light intensity on this run. No point at all. All it's gonna do is just prevent my body from absorbing the work that I did on the last workout yesterday, or the last time I saw you, and it's going to prevent me from being able to push as hard as I need to on our final long progressive run at the end of this week. So, keeping myself honest, staying within those ranges that we need. And I expect and I hope you to do the exact same thing. Listen to that, guys, as we come closer. Listen to that sound. The steam coming up out of the earth. What causes this, guys, is water that actually comes from the sky. So meteoric water. We know this is known as meteoric water. Water that comes from the sky in the form of rain, in the form of dew, in the form of snow, and it trickles down through this volcanic rock. And then it fills up the water table underneath these different cisterns. And then the geothermal activity, the heat generated from under the earth, heats that water up until it reaches a boiling point or even higher temperatures than boiling, and then it pushes it out through these fissures that we see in the earth. Look at this, guys. Listen to the sound of that, how deafening that roar is. Alright, guys, let's work our way away from that fumarola and continue down, see what else we can find. Guys, that sound is deafening. I was talking as loud as I could and I couldn't even hear my own voice when we were over there. That, Oh man, that's just an indication of the power that is housed within the earth right underneath us. So guys, here's the interesting thing is that the water that trickles down and eventually makes its way into these cisterns that are heated up and then expelled out in the form of heat, in the form of steam, in the form of water. Guys, it sometimes takes as long as 15 years in this region for that water to percolate and make its way down to then be shot back up in the form of steam. This is because of the nature of the volcanic stone here. It also has to do with the areas within the region where that water trickles or percolates down through the earth. Percolate, guys, that's a word which means essentially trickling down through stone or soil or sediment. So when you're in a desert area and you've got bedrock in certain areas above the sand, the percolation is really slow, sometimes non-existent because it can't penetrate down through that stone. If you're in other volcanic regions where the ground is like pumice, imagine a sponge, but imagine that sponge being made of stone, where there's all these different holes. The water comes down, you can percolate very quickly down through those holes, and then it condenses in these water tables or in these different cisterns, and then it's heated up from that geothermal activity, and then once the pressure reaches a certain point, the ground can no longer contain that pressure, and it breaks its way up through the weak areas in the soil, the crust of the earth, and this is exactly what we find. So let's continue to cruise around here, guys. I'm going to follow the footprints of other people that have come before us. The last thing I want is to fall down into one of these geothermal mud pits. Man, even this is a little bit risky, guys. Look at this mud. Look at this mud that's boiling up. This, guys, is way above the boiling point, or the boiling temperature of a typical 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Look at that, guys. That soil as it comes up. This is so incredible to see. So wretched to smell. All right. Oh, it kind of smells like miso soup, actually. Not to in any way insult miso soup. I really actually like miso soup. But man, it's just a really intense miso soup that's mixed with putrid eggs. Man, never thought I would describe something that way. I probably don't have a future in the culinary business. That's something I wanted to do for a long time. Man, you probably can't describe foods affectionately by saying or by comparing them to these mud pits, these sulfur mud pits. Man, look at that. Oh, I'm curious. I really want to reach down and touch that, but I know that it would just burn my fingers so hot. Guys, let's keep moving along over here. There's so many of these to see. Oh, so many of them to smell. If only they cleared up your sinuses. The odd thing is that it's just kind of an assault. Your body doesn't really know what to do with it. Check this out, guys. This big pool right here. You can see when we get in here that blue hazy color that I talked about. This is the presence of silica, that mineral, which makes this water have that blue hue. And then as we come over, crazy how close these pools can be to each other, but the colors are dynamically different. Right over here we've got brown or rust colored because of the iron. You can see that here in the soil again. How bright these colors are. Look at that mud, guys. Wow. Whew. Okay, let's keep moving on. Let's go see what else we can find in this area. Okay, so nice and easy. Let's keep going. Bring this back up. A gentle, easy jog. If you haven't been already. Look at this mud. Wow. to be completely honest, some of this stuff is actually not good for you to breathe. There's gases in here that they're not they're not designed for human consumption, I'll say that much. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, this is an area where there's actually high levels of arsenic in the water. Arsenic is a deadly substance if it's consumed in too high quantities. It actually exists in lots of things that we are exposed to on a normal basis. It's found in apple seeds. It's actually found in the husks of brown rice. It's found in different areas in the water that's available because of the groundwater. It leaches down into the groundwater. And in small levels, it's not dangerous, but when it concentrates in really, really high levels, it's not good at all for you to consume, whether you breathe it, whether you're in contact with it, or whether you consume it through water. The reason is because what it does is it actually cripples the exact energy forming components of our cells that we're trying to build up right now. What it does is it cripples your mitochondria. Remember the powerhouse part of your cell that creates ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That mixture of glucose and oxygen and water creates ATP, that adenosine triphosphate, which allows us to have power or energy, which fuels every single contraction within our cells. When those mitochondria are crippled by the presence in too high concentrations of arsenic, essentially what happens, guys, it kills you there, it destroys those mitochondria, or it cripples their ability to function, and from there, everything else is crippled. You can't function at all. You can't do anything. Without that ATP, without that ability to create that energy, it brings on a rapid death of whatever that organism is. Guys, look at these mud pools. You got the steam boiling up. This is surreal, guys. Oh, man. So wild. Guys, not only the sound, but you can actually feel the ground rumbling as this mud comes up. Check this one out, guys. Look at the mineral deposits that have created this crater around the outside of this. And look in that, guys. This is probably the most dynamic of these mud pits that we've seen. Whew. You can see, guys, how the soil is white. High concentrations of minerals in there. Combination of potassium and calcium, as well as the borax that we've seen in all these different other regions within the Siloé Desert. Man, this is so cool. I want to navigate and get as close to this as I can, but I know, guys, that this is an incredibly dangerous place to tread when we're not really familiar with exactly what's going on underneath us. That's the wild thing about being out here in the Siloé Desert. It's one of the most isolated places in the world, but because of that, you don't have guardrails. You don't have areas where people are saying, do not cross this area, because if you do, you fall into a boiling mud pit, you could survive. But that's the nature of the job, I guess, right? Man, how cool is this to make it all the way here? See this activity, guys. We've seen so much variety in this area, within this desert, an area where people would say no life exists, no activity exists. It's a completely barren location, and yet we find so much life, so much activity, so much to see, so much to admire, so much to learn from, guys. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end. I'm your trainer, Tommy Reyes, coming at you guys once again from the Siloé Desert. Rest up, and I'll see you guys soon.
the highest, it's peaking, just peaking. The highest heart rate is 127. Right away, 122. Ah. Okay, pause, and okay, we're gonna do more. So far it's 8 miles, 0.98 at very low heart rate. I think I drank a little bit too much, but I was thirsty. Okay, let's do Tommy Reeves.
Welcome back, guys. I'm your trainer, Tommy Rivs. This is workout number 23. Guys, this is a recovery run or a pre-recovery run in preparation for our long progressive run at the end of this week. Guys, we are in an area known as Laguna Verde. If you look over there to the right, you can see right down below the volcano, we have what's known as Laguna Verde. This is the specific color because of the mineral density that's found in these waters. We're around 14,000 feet high. We're right on the border between Bolivia and Chile. Nice and easy run, guys, throughout the entire time. So no more than 4 out of 10 on that RPE. Light intensity, no more than 75% of our max heart rate. So this run is designed to help us recover from our last pillar workout in combination with the last time I saw you when we were able to check out the morning sun, those geysers there. Today, continuation of recovery, but also, as I mentioned, a bit of pre-recovery in preparation for our long run. So just nice and easy. We're gonna get out here, cruise around, see what there is to see. Okay, so we're still at a very, very high elevation, 14,200 feet. That somehow feels a little bit easier than 16,000 feet. But guys, we are still high.
I have to bring it down.
We are just outside of the Sololi Desert, still on the Altiplano of Bolivia, right on the border between Bolivia and Chile. Okay, so when we hit this incline, let's bring this speed down even more, just to make sure we don't redline. Here we go, focus in on that breathing, line it up with your footfall, and we're just gonna go nice and easy, relaxed. Guys, check out the earth, all of this right here, all of the ground, all of these rocks. This is all volcanic. This is all part of the same major geological activity that took place starting 2.9 million years ago here in the Bolivian Altiplano. The Puna volcano complex is what they call this. We are we're on the Cordillera Occidental, which means the western range on the southwest border of Bolivia. But just look at how rugged all of this is, all of this volcanic rock. You can see, guys, just the detail there as this is formed from that volcanic activity, incredibly craggy, all these tiny porous areas, and then every once in a while you find these other volcanic structures, the darker basalt type stone and the mixture of the two. As over eons and eons, these geological activities have formed the land, and then the wind that's come through, that same wind that we saw at the Árbol de Piedra, or the tree of stone, that same erosion that takes place from that wind as well as from that water. Guys, look out there right in front of us. These giant volcanoes rising up in front of us. Just look at those colors. You can see just how much iron is in the soil based off of how red these structures are. And then as we begin to descend just a little bit, you see a yellow, almost a green color, and that's actually from the shrubs, the bushes that grow all the way up there. You can see a very definitive point where they run out of resources and they're no longer allowed to thrive or able to thrive because of how harsh this area is, and that's where it just completely cuts off, and then it's red from there up. Alright, let's keep moving, guys. Nice and easy. We're just going to take some time to explore this whole region and see what there is to find. So this lake, as I mentioned before, it's known as Laguna Verde, so the green lake. It's also known locally as the Emerald Lake, and the reason is because of the colors of the lake. And as I mentioned in the very beginning, this has to do with the concentration of minerals. That's one part. You have algae that when they come in contact with iron and when they oxidize that iron, the algae create this green blue hue. You also have silica. Silica is a mineral that's responsible for the green colors there. Then you can see along the shores, you have calcium carbonate, you have potassium, you have borax. All of those are white. And when they mix together in the water, and the sun shines down, it reflects off of those particles that are suspended in the water, and it creates this hazy color, really similar to a glacial lake or a glacial river. We're going to cruise through here. Got folks from all over the world that make the trek out here in these 4x4s to be able to take in these views. Hours and hours and hours of driving on these incredibly treacherous roads to come out here and see exactly what we're seeing right now.
Hello? Hi? Sorry? I can't hear you. No, tell me, repeat. Oh, wow. Okay. 1 o'clock. Okay, okay, let me know, babe. Okay, bye, bye.
Here we go. Let's keep moving. Guys, I want to make a point to something that has to do with just exactly that. Stopping, allowing the heart rate to come back down. This is exactly what I would do if I was just cruising along alone, out by myself. And my goal for that workout was to have a light intensity recovery run. If I felt my heart rate begin to rise, I would slow down just exactly like I did back there. I would allow that heart rate to go back down before I continue on. The other thing, guys, if I was in an area as beautiful as this, just exactly like we're seeing, I would definitely pause from time to time to just take in those views. If I saw something beautiful that I wanted to look at, I would never hesitate to stop and look at it. If I saw something on the ground, whether it was rocks or flowers or a little critter, I would definitely stop and take the time to look at it. So I've mentioned this before in previous series, guys, but don't ever let your workout come before the experience of just being out here and seeing all that there is to see. Obviously, when we've got specific pillar workouts and intervals and things like that, it becomes a bit more challenging to be able to just stop whenever you want. But especially on these easy recovery runs, if you see something that catches your eye, that inspires you, just like this, guys. Look at that, right up there in the distance. These vicuñas, these wild relatives of the llamas and alpacas, they're gonna cruise along out of our screen. Look at those guys, look how they move so graceful up here. They make it look so effortless as they move along at this high elevation. I would love to know the concentration of red blood cells that a vicuña has living at this elevation. Just look how easeful they move, guys. And remember, we're at 14,000 feet elevation. All right, we're just gonna let them continue on. But that's exactly what I was talking about, guys. If we find something beautiful, something that inspires us, never let your workout, especially if it's an easy recovery run, never let that workout come before the experience of just being out here in these incredible, incredible locations. Rather than a workout draining you emotionally and mentally and spiritually, especially when it's an easy recovery run where we just get to go out and see everything that's beautiful out here, it should do the opposite, guys. You should feel fueled, you should feel energized, you should feel revived by this experience of being out here. All right, let's cruise down here along the border of this beautiful lake, guys. Look at those colors. Oh, man. That contrast between the white and that bright turquoise color, and then those red volcanoes rising up behind us. Right behind these hills, guys, right on the other side of these volcanoes is the country of Chile. We've had a little bit of an opportunity to be there before, bouncing back and forth between these two sides. We're going to have an opportunity to see even more of that beautiful country. Right here, guys, check this out. Remember the last time I saw you I talked about how the Vicuña, they stand in one place and they drop those bombs all in one location to establish territory. Man, talked about how grateful I would be if I was a young farm kid. It was my job to pick that up because it's all in one location rather than all over that pasture. That right there, guys, that's one of the reasons that there is so much plant life in an area like this, because of that natural fertilization process, that symbiotic relationship that exists between the vicuña and the grass that they feed on. Okay. All right, let's keep working out. Let's get all the way to the edge. Just take a look at that water. I'm not going to touch this water, guys, and the reason is similar to what we saw when we were in the morning sun or sol de mañana, the geysers that we saw there. One of the reasons that this lake is so beautiful in color is because of high concentrations of arsenic in the water. Arsenic, guys, is one of the most lethal poisons that you could consume. It's unfortunately found in groundwater from time to time. And right here, guys, there are high concentrations of it in the water. That's one of the reasons that in this lake you don't see the huge populations of flamingos like we've seen in some of the other lakes here in the Altiplano. Is because those same physiological processes of needing to provide combined water, oxygen, and sugar that comes from the nutrients that they consume, those same processes, guys, require mitochondria, those cells, the powerhouse of the cells that convert those resources into energy. And just like humans, birds are also affected by arsenic. The arsenic affects the mitochondria and makes it impossible to be able to create that energy. Because of that, it can be incredibly lethal in high concentrations. All right, here we go, guys. So right here, guys, you can see the ground that we're walking on is a series of layers of different mineral deposits that have broken apart. And what we're essentially doing is running on top of these different layers. So as the rain comes in, it establishes a new level where the water rises up, and that begins to sink down just a bit. And the mineral deposits, they solidify up on the top, and then it creates this barrier up on the top where there's water underneath, or brine, as we've talked about. And then that brine stays there underneath, and the layer up at the top, eventually, if it's disturbed, as the water recedes and it loses some of that support, what happens is these layers begin to crack and crumble. You multiply this, guys, over thousands and millions of years, and essentially we have these layers of shale-like mineral deposits that are just broken up in these fine layers. It's almost as if there's scales on top of the earth. Alright, we're going to cruise around here, guys. And I'm going to go ahead and let you take the lead unobstructed by me. Look at those mountains there, guys, off in the distance. Those mountains that you can see, the furthest ones away, those are in the country of Chile. Alright, guys. So let's keep moving forward, taking in the views of that lake. Okay, so let's do just a quick check-in real quick. Heads, shoulders, knees, and toes. Make sure everything is relaxed. Make sure everything is moving efficiently. Guys, I'm so stoked that we've had so many opportunities throughout these last few weeks to see so much variety here in Chile, or in Bolivia. Well, we've been to Chile as well, but to see so much variety here in Bolivia. What it does, guys, is it gives us a little bit better picture of just why this country has had such a tumultuous history in terms of politics, in terms of war between this country and all of the other countries that surround it. Bolivia has been at war with Chile in the War of the Pacific in the late 1800s. It's been in war with Argentina. It's been at war with Paraguay. It's been at war with Brazil. It's literally had major conflicts with all of its neighbors. Part of the reason, guys, is because, let's be careful walking through here. Part of the reason is, as historians like to say, this is a country that wasn't supposed to exist. So even from early times, all of the different battles that existed, the different empires that came and went, the Tiwanaku tribe that lived and thrived for over 1,000 years here in Bolivia, and then they were taken over by the Incas. And in reality, it wasn't a military takeover. It was that the Tiwanaku had grown so big and so strong. What historians believe is that there was overpopulation and lack of resources, and there were several years of drought and disease, and what it did is it caused a huge decimation of that population. After that took place, the Incan Empire rose up, and they began to spread their influence across all of the Andes, all of the Altiplano, as well as the mountains from Peru into Bolivia, into Argentina, into parts of Chile. And this was an empire, guys, that only lasted a little over 100 years. But the influence was so powerful because of the way that that empire provided resources for the people within that community. They completely sanctified agriculture. So by that I mean working the land, tilling the land, creating the terraces, learning how to work with the quinoa, with the potatoes, with all the other agricultural products that they developed. It was part of their spiritual life. It was this belief that if they took care of the land and cultivated the land, that Pachamama, or Mother Earth, that she was morally obligated to return that favor. And so they worked incredibly hard, and that empire flourished. There was no private land. Everybody was allotted property, but it was with the expectation that they would cultivate that property. They would be able to produce products that would then serve the empire. And the empire in turn took care of the people. And so it created this traditional culture among the indigenous peoples here in the Andes to where everything was egalitarian. Everybody worked hard to provide what they could, and then they shared that equally among each other. Guys, look at those views out there. This is exactly what I was talking about before. The wind has started to agitate that water. The sun shines down and we can see even brighter those colors. An absolutely stunning place, guys. So guys, this continued within that Incan Empire, this abundance of resources, this egalitarian society where everybody had a role and everybody provided and everybody was taken care of. And then in the 1500s, Francisco Pizarro arrived from Spain, and with the Spanish came just horrendous diseases to this continent, guys. So in 1518, smallpox arrived in the Bahamas. In 1520 to 1524, smallpox arrived in North America and down into Mexico. And then, just a year before Francisco Pizarro arrived in Peru, in the year 1522, smallpox arrived down here in the Andes. And guys, this absolutely decimated the population. So 2/3 of the population were killed by smallpox. And that was such a horrendous disease. It left people completely unable to rally, to organize, to be able to fight back. And within that climate, Francisco Pizarro and less than 200 men were able to come and take over the empire, that Incan empire that consisted of millions and millions of people throughout the Andes Mountains. Look at this, guys. Look at this river. Look how beautiful this is, the color as it comes down and it feeds into La Laguna Verde. I'm gonna slow down for just a bit. I can feel my heart rate spiking. I'm gonna make sure it stays right there at 140. Here we go. This is a connection, guys, this little river between what's known as La Laguna Blanca, or the White Laguna or Lake, and the Laguna Verde. So the reason it's known as the White Lake or the White Laguna is because of higher concentrations of calcium, of potassium, and borax that's found in the soil here. Just across the border in Chile, there's actually an area where they harvest or they process this borax, and it's sent throughout the entire world to make paint, to make glue, to make glass, to make plastic, all sorts of different products. All right, guys, so back to the 1500s, Francisco Pizarro arrives with 188 men, and they're somehow able to completely overcome that Incan Empire, guys. And the way that they did it was just heartbreaking. They could have arrived, I'm not saying that it would have been any better, but they could have arrived and they could have adopted or assimilated the culture that already existed in terms of this egalitarian society, in terms of allowing people to work the land and having what they need. Instead, what they did is tried to transplant the ideas from old Europe here in the New World. And because of that, the storehouses that were just overflowing with grains, with different agricultural products, the areas of the land which were incredibly rich in nutrients, the structures that existed, the buildings, the infrastructure, the roads, all of this was just decimated, guys. And the people that lived here in the Andes, the indigenous populations that once made up that Incan Empire, they were forced to change not only their language, but with their language, their view of reality, their understanding of the way that the universe functioned and their role in that. You guys, when they lost that, the motivation to cultivate the land which didn't belong to them, but they were stewards of, given this responsibility to protect and care for, with the belief that they would be cared for in return. Guys, when that was lost, when the languages were lost or were threatened, when the belief systems changed, it's completely altered the identity of the people that lived here. And guys, when we fast forward 500 years, this is something that the country of Bolivia is still reeling over, still suffering from. You have these huge populations of indigenous communities who still hold on to those traditional beliefs, but because things have changed, because the government has seized the land and sold it off to foreign investors, or given it to private investors with the hope and expectation that the country will get rich while the people remain poor. This is something that has just plagued this country over the last 500 years. This is one of the reasons, guys, that there's so much hope among certain communities here in Bolivia with Evo Morales, who's the current president, the first indigenous president in South America. So his father was Quechua, his mother was Aymara, and he grew up as a coca farmer in the Yungas region, the area that we experienced early on there that the death road works down towards. So that Yungas region was incredibly important for the cultivation of coca leaves. And Evo Morales, when he was young, he actually was one of the forefront leaders of a union that helped bring together those coca farmers and gave them rights. And so what he did after he was elected, he actually changed the Constitution to where Catholicism was no longer taught as the compulsory religion taught in schools, and he instead opened it up to where the religious beliefs of the indigenous people were seen as just as relevant or just as valuable. He made it a requisite to teach those indigenous languages within the regions where they're spoken. So 36 different indigenous languages became official languages under that new constitution. And what he's done is he's strived to eliminate foreign investors from the area, and he's tried to revamp or resurrect some of the beliefs and some of the traditional customs that existed among those indigenous populations in terms of access to land, in terms of land rights, in terms of agriculture, all of these different things. So Bolivia right now is on the forefront of a change, a massive change, trying to marry this major country with huge amounts of natural resources, with the views and beliefs, the customs, traditions, and cultures of the indigenous populations that have lived here for thousands of years, guys. So you can see just how big, how monumental this task is. After being able to work through and see different parts of this country, you can see the challenges that this country faces. This is statistically the most impoverished country in all of South America. And this is so ironic because it is literally sitting on top of some of the highest concentrations of minerals and resources in the entire world. So, as everything continues to go forward, this is to be determined in terms of how this will all work out for this country. Independent of all of that, guys, independent of the struggle, of the strife, this has been an absolutely incredible journey to be able to experience so much of this. So we've been able to see just breathtaking landscapes, and I mean that figuratively as well as literally. We've been able to see the cultures of the people, the traditional dress. We've been able to learn a bit about the traditional languages, specifically Quechua and Aymara. We've been able to experience firsthand, go up and see the exact locations where it's believed that these people emerged out of the rocks on the island right there in the middle of Titicaca. This has come completely full circle, guys. as we've been able to see all of this. So this is a place that I will not soon forget. This is a place that has definitely impacted me. I hope that you guys have been able to take away some of that. I thank you for indulging me and allowing me to give you my interpretation of everything that I've seen and experienced here. I know it sounds like I'm closing this up, guys, but I'm not. We're going to continue on. But the next time I see you, we're going to be across those mountains, across that border in the country of Chile. We're headed towards the Atacama Desert, guys, one of the most world-renowned locations in terms of the resources, the scenery, just the sheer beauty of that place. So guys, thanks for making it all the way to the end of this workout number 23, our recovery run right behind us. La Laguna Verde, here in the Altiplano, the beautiful country of Bolivia. I'm your trainer, Tommy Rhodes, guys. Rest up and I'll see you soon.
Okay, pause, finish. Done, finish, very good. Yeah, return to home, whatever. I need something short and sweet. Okay. Okay. I don't know who's that. I just gonna put because I wanna. It's some new trainer. Never tried him before. It's a walk, but I'm gonna continue run at the same pace in the same incline. All this time it was incline 1. Just a very okay, play. Okay, we're going.
Hi, Alex Gregory here, your iFit trainer. Welcome to Walk the World.
Okay, Alex Gregory,
In the program here.
calm down, take it easy, take it easy.
In this series, we're going to explore some of the most beautiful spots this island has to offer, like the Black Sands of Montserrat, and we're going to go right up to the summit of Montpellier, volcano to the northern end of the island. We're going to explore the Atlantic coast and the Caribbean coast together at Get Fit. I've designed this program with 8 simple workouts that we're going to progress through this series and get fit as we go. And the best part is, it doesn't end here on my feet. We're going to explore some of the treadmill starts to move underneath you. Throughout the whole workout, 20 minutes, we're going to try and keep the same pace the whole way through. So we're going to be working to RPE 4, rate of receiving session 4 in 10 is your max. 1 is lying on your sofa, 4 is a moderate pace, and we're just going to keep it consistent all the way through. But for now, just allow your body to move with the flow. Feel comfortable. Be aware of your feet. Movement on the feet. How your feet fall on the treadmill in your shoes. You're taking up any pressure in your muscles. And you're just finding that gentle rhythm with your arms. Because that rhythm will help you through the whole workout. I'm probably going to be saying these similar things every time we walk together, every time we do a workout. If you follow me through these series, I do think it's important just to take that time to ease into it, to relax. We never want to shock our body. We always want to just allow ourselves that time. And the other point about this is it's giving our mind time as well. It's giving our mind time to break away from whatever we were doing before, whether we're just stuck out in the day or we're being to work or working out now. Gives ourselves a chance just to ease mentally into what we want to be doing here. We want to be out here in the Caribbean along this beach, walking together. Okay guys, so that's coming up to the end of the 2-minute warm-up. If we feel like we need to, let's just pick up the pace to RPE 4 slightly, perhaps increase the stride length. It's going to be a tiny difference if anything. Take a deep breath. Let's get into this workout. Okay. So let's find our rhythm. And as I said, actually, I'm just going to take you right up here. I've just noticed, right in the beginning of this workout, just noticed this cannon. I can tell from the beat it's the cannon. This is probably 17th or 18th century. And it's obviously just been left on the beach. And that'll be a defensive cannon, and you can see them up in the town of Tampere, which is where we're heading. And all of these islands in the Caribbean would have been heavily defended from attack, from takeover. We'll get into the history of it later on in the series. But sorry for that interruption. What I was going to say was that this is an endurance workout, and for that, for endurance, there's really no substitute for spending time doing it. The more time we can spend exercising at a lower level, as we're doing now, a consistent intensity, then we're going to be building our endurance. And that's what we're trying to do right now. There's a beautiful little pelican down here.
It was a cat.
And these pelicans are really pretty tame. But they surround the fishermen, and the fishermen bring in their nets in the morning. We've seen that here. They bring in their nets, the pelicans come flying in with scraps for anything that jumps out of the net. They're amazing birds. alternate some hikes, a little bit more intense, but also working on endurance. And some of you may know, maybe not, I was a rower. I was an Olympic rower, and I spent 16 years in a strength endurance sport at school. So we had to be relatively strong, but also we needed this strong base of fitness, of endurance fitness. And so the only way to achieve that really is spending hours and hours out on the water in a boat or on a rowing machine, training and building up that base. And over time you become robust, but not only capable of holding on to exercise for a long period of time, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours or whatever, but I mean, you build up an ability to recover and prepare for the next workout as well. So it's not just the immediate benefit we're trying to improve on right now, we're trying to improve on long-term benefit, where you're building your endurance base, you feel able to get back on your treadmill again and again, time and time again, feel confident with that, able to recover quickly from one workout to the next. And it will stand you in great stead for whatever you want to achieve on your fitness journey, wherever you are. I do always think that along the way you may as well always try and enjoy it at least. Look, fitness isn't always easy. I'm just getting my feet wet in the waves and avoiding that. Luckily the sea's beautifully warm. But you should always try and enjoy the workouts we do. And that's what I hope to give you. I hope that perhaps at times take your mind off the things that you're putting in, perhaps a little bit of discomfort. And there are always, it's inevitable, it's human nature, there are always going to be days when you don't want to get on the machine, when you don't feel like you can do it. That just happens, everyone has that. But I hope throughout this series and more that I can get across to you some little tricks and methods and some reasons to get on the machine. Because being fit and healthy is a recipe, is a tonic for being happy and for being productive and for being a high performer. And I guess we all want to be high performers in our own field, in our own way, to our own standard. And exercise is almost the foundation of being that. So you know this, you're on the great path, you started on this journey. We're going through it together. Well done. RPE for keep the rhythm, nice and steady. So right now we're on the western edge of Martinique. And this of course is the Caribbean Ocean. The Atlantic looks rougher. The Caribbean side is warm, generally calm, really beautiful. Why don't we go out on this pier now and have a look? I'll try and show you how clear the water is. Let's make our way out here. Have a look. Water's really good. Let's just keep moving, keep that pace up. Enjoy this. We're at a lovely time of day, probably my favourite time. Early morning, every light is just starting. Fishermen are coming in, people are just arriving to get on with their day. Boats just waking up. If you look up behind me, that's the town, well we're in the town of Saint-Pierre, the town stretching out in the foreground, and then up there show the slopes of Pelée, the volcano, and the top that heart rate at a steady pace. I always find one good tip is to be aware of your breathing. If you can get this lovely awareness and this lovely rhythm with your breathing, I've always found that can help you get through difficult times in exercise, more intense times perhaps. One of the things that we lose when things get hard is rhythm, whether it's running, walking, whatever it is. And breathing allows you just to hold on to one thing that keeps your rhythm. See, look, we're going to go to the market store now. Marketplace. Music's playing. Triple bench is on sale. Look, it's beautiful Caribbean. The bananas here are supposed to be the best in the world. They are the best in the world. They're sweet, delicious. Oh, the fish market. They were probably caught this morning, just out here. Okay, so let's make our way. We go back onto the sand, go back down onto the beach. And if you're managing to hold on to that breathing rhythm, that'll stand you in good stead, especially when we go, say, up to the top of Mont Pelée, when things get a bit tough, when the incline rises, holding on to a breathing rhythm is superb. Keep moving. There's people all around, milling about their day, but we're just focused on our exercise. Can get distracting. Okay, great stuff, guys. Now, I'll just quickly mention here that Martinique is a French island. It's a department of France. So it's governed by, well, France. So they have very little control here over what happens, what goods get brought in, what rules, regulations. And it's one of the, I think, the only islands in the Caribbean that is governed by an overseas department. From being here a little while, I think that brings positives but also negatives. I think there are elements that the residents here are resentful of. But it's a really interesting mix of culture here, and it's very definitely Caribbean. But you just have to drive down the first road, and you see influence from France. You see the road signs are all French. The people will speak French. So it's a really cool mix of cultures and backgrounds. We're going to get more into that later on in the series. I'll try and get a little bit across, a little overview of what it's really like here. But I will say is that every single person I've met has been super friendly, super nice place to come. Perfect place to start our journey right around Martinique. Okay, let's just come back down onto the beach. So let's carry on here. We're coming to the closing stages of our workout. That absolutely flew by for me. I hope you're enjoying it, you're still enjoying it. Keep going for now. Keep moving. We're going to ease it to a cool down in a couple of minutes. I hope this is giving you a little bit of an overview of Martinique and what's going to happen. I really want to talk about how the Caribbean, how the New World was discovered. I'll do that in a later workout. It's a fascinating tale, I suppose. And it really kicked off life here and the way we see the Caribbean now and these beautiful islands. It all started Columbus. and Queen Isabella over in Europe. I just love the story, so I'll talk about it later on in the series.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But for now, let's just soak up this environment. And actually, look at this. We're just walking under. It's the museum here. And it's an old fort. Saint Pierre was the first place that was inhabited. The fort was built to protect the island. And that cannon we saw right at the beginning would have been used, and it's one of those that we can see three more cannons up there, and they would have been, as I said, there to protect the island from any invading nations that would want to colonise these islands. There was a toing and froing between the British and the French and the Dutch and the Spanish, a complex mix of war, I suppose, over these islands. Various treaties swapped over ownership. As I say, we'll get into that more. Little elements of history from 14, 15, 1600s, mixing now with modern times. It's fascinating. Okay, guys, so as we come towards the end of this workout, let's just ease down into a cool down. So, from our PE4, just bring it down a little bit, bring the pace down and relax. And I'll just kind of set out what I hope to get from a cool down. I want to bring my body back down to normal kind of temperature, perhaps normal regulation of the heart rate, of the breathing. I want to feel like I'm back to normal. I want to feel capable of getting on with my day after a little bit more intensity. And I want to give myself the best chance of recovery as well. As we talk about, endurance needs recovery. So if we cool down, we're going to be flushing out any toxins that were built up. We're going to be releasing our body from tension. So perhaps shake your arms off. Allow yourself to relax. And these last few stages on the beach, we're just walking amongst this volcanic rock. The black sands are just this volcanic rock from Mont Pelée and the eruptions that have happened over the history. Black sand is that volcano eroded down. We're just in the footsteps of it right now. Well done, guys. So the last few steps of this workout, let's just slow right down. Allow the treadmill to stop. Relax off your arms, your muscles. Take a breath. Well done. What an awesome start to this series. We've come around the beautiful bay of Amsterdam. We're standing in the shadow of Mont Pelée. The next workout in the series, we're going to Trace Jesuit, another beautiful, interesting walk. I'm Alex Gregory, your IFIT trainer. See you there. Welcome back to Martinique, and just take a look where we are. We're right in the heart of the island, inside the rainforest, on the Trace de Jesuit, the Trail of the Jesuits.
funny thing, I can run faster. I'm tired, but I'm not exhausted. I'm tired. It's been 3 hours and 20 minutes. I'm here. But I don't want to raise my heart rate. So I definitely can run faster than I was doing it. But then it's not the workout I set for. I really want to run. I'm going to run that marathon at 3:45. That will be my finishing time. 3:45. 3 hours and 45 minutes to finish that. Nine weeks away. Wow. Okay. So it's been 13 miles, .1, so it's a half a marathon at 3 hours and let's say, what is it? Okay, 3 hours and 8 minutes because I pause every time I went to the bathroom, so that time didn't count in my run. But I know I started at 10 to 10 and now it's 1:10. So I ran Nashville half a marathon at 2 hours and 20 something minutes. So I can run faster half a marathon. But my heart rate was so much higher. Alright then. And cool down. I gotta go. I got to go. 13 hours, .12, average pace 14:26. It's pretty slow, but average heart rate 112. How about that? At the end, I have to say, it was the highest was at the end. It was 131. Last half an hour. That was the highest. Yeah. How about that? Oh, now it changed. Heart rate. Is it my heart rate right now? Okay. What is it? Okay. 309. Okay. Okay. I gotta go. Yeah. Good stuff.